All these things in the precious name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Here today to honor America with the singing of our national anthem, please welcome Dr. Kat Struess, DM, Lieutenant Colonel, United States Air Force, retired.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
What a beautiful day. Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch looking to continue their dominance in Atlanta, but there is a field of young and hungry drivers hoping to become the next big star. XFINITY Series racing from Atlanta coming up next. Welcome back to the Atlanta Motor Speedway. It's a crisp 58 degrees, which is going to make one of the fastest tracks on the circuit seem even faster. One guy who's going to be watching this race from high above the track is Chase Elliott. You know the name, son of Bill, champion of the XFINITY Series, Cup Rookie of the Year, and today he adds a new skill to his resume, racing broadcaster. So let's go up to the booth. It's a full house. Adam Alexander, Michael Waltrip, and of course their sidekick, Chase Elliott. Guys, don't forget to show Chase where that cough button is today.
Absolutely, and you just ran off the highlight reel for our guy Chase, and you took all of my lines except one. You have your own foundation now, which is outstanding. We're so glad you're with us in the booth. Great place to be, your home track. You were just out there in Cup final practice. P1, by the way. How slick is it?
It was not as slick as getting up here in 5 minutes, so it's definitely a challenge. So we're excited to be here. Thanks for having me, and looking forward to watching a great race.
You know, we have speeds here in excess of 200 miles an hour down in the corner, and everybody says the track's old, it's wore out. That's usually a bad thing. What do you race car drivers like so much about this surface?
This surface is great. Just the variety of places you can run, obviously the various techniques I think you can have to run on the racetrack, and I'm curious to see how different guys, tackle the track today. It'll be interesting.
I'm looking at the names up front. You got Busch up there, Harvick, Keselowski, Hamlin. I mean, there's some big names. And then you've got 4 rookies in the first 4 rows. How does this thing balance out today?
It'll be interesting. Obviously, very cool to see William Byron qualify on the front row. So I'm happy to see that 9-car back with JRM. There's a lot of young guys that'll be fun to watch today.
I know another guy that started up front in his first Atlanta starting that 9-car. His name is Chase Elliott. We'll see what Byron can do today. Now we're going trackside.
Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Here to give the command, please welcome today's Grand Marshal, Chief Operating Officer of race sponsor Rinnai America Corporation, Frank Windsor.
Welcome to the Rinnai Tankless Water Heater 250. And on behalf of all the Rinnai associates, close to 10,000 around the world, drivers, start your engines!
The engines have fired. It's part 1 of a NASCAR doubleheader at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. As we go to break, we get you geared up for all the action live on FS1.
Man, it's a big weekend because it's the last race with the old surface here in Atlanta. Everybody loves this track, so we're really looking forward to a good finish.
Walking out to the grid for the Atlanta race. I'm starting 11th today. Should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to getting out after with all those guys.
Coming off a win last week at Daytona has been awesome. Have a lot of confidence. So looking to keep it going here this weekend in Atlanta. Get us maybe another win, but we're already locked into the playoffs. So just have a lot of fun, big smile on my face, and enjoying this.
Drivers, start your engines!
Xfinity Series, time to go green here at Atlanta.
This track is very unique, very abrasive.
This racetrack is going to be a lot of fun for these drivers. I think we're going to see a huge battle between these guys.
Kyle Busch is a game changer.
It's over in Atlanta.
Finally, Kyle Busch going to win at Atlanta Motor Speedway. What a beautiful Saturday afternoon at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Xfinity teams getting set for the second race of the year. Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Superior performing tires to face challenging conditions on the track and the road. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. And now we go from the driver's seat with a guy that won last week at Daytona, Ryan Reed, starting 10th here today.
Hey, Ryan, Chase Elliott in the FS1 booth. Got a copy?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Hey, man, we see you have a nice top 10 starting spot today. I think for us, we all know how important the bottom is here at Atlanta. Is your car good enough to move around, and how do you going to try to move forward today?
Yeah, man, absolutely. I definitely think it's good enough to move around because it's going to be key. I was watching your guys' practice on my XFINITY X1 app, taking notes on you. You look like you're getting around here pretty good, so trying to study what you guys are doing and see if I can learn something. But I feel pretty good about our 16 Lily Ford Mustang.
Hey Ryan, it's Michael Waltrip. You finished 2016 strong and then come to Daytona and literally outran the best at their game down there. How much confidence does that give you today here in Atlanta to race the same cast of characters?
Well, they're definitely two different animals, Daytona and Atlanta, but just to have the confidence that I got the guys behind me and that they're putting in the effort that they are, just makes me really strive for a lot of excellence, just like we did last year, and want to go, obviously starting the year off with a win is unbelievable. We're locked in the chase, and so now I can go out today, have a lot of fun, go for some bonus points, and go for a win, man.
All right, have fun. We'll check in with you later and see how it's going.
Yes, sir.
If Ryan Reed is going to go back-to-back to start the season, he's driving for the right team. Roush Fenway, the all-time leader here at Atlanta. Time for pit headlines. Let's put our reporters on the clock. We start with Chris Neville. Hello, Chris.
Hey, Adam. You know, last year at Kansas, William Byron had Kyle Busch on his radio, helping guide him to his first Truck Series victory. Today, he looks across the front row at his old boss, but William says he's not thinking much about that. He's just excited to have Daytona behind him and looking forward to the racetracks that he really enjoys. Today is all about execution, keeping all those mistakes from last week in the rearview mirror. Jamie?
20-year-old Matt Tifft has never raced anything here. As a matter of fact, he's only been a racing spectator. So in order to prepare for today's race, he spent 2 days in a racing simulator, and he worked out with the guys and practiced pit stops with them. He said number one thing today, be patient when the grip on those tires goes away. Matt?
Jamie, whether it was at RCR, KHI, or JRM, no drivers had a bigger impact at dissecting and looking at ways to improve an Xfinity Series team than Kevin Harvick. That's his role here with Stuart Haas's new Xfinity program, and you couldn't pick a better guy when you look at his record here at Atlanta, 4 wins. They're hoping to evaluate and get some great feedback for the first of 5 races this year. Adam?
You look over the years at Atlanta Motor Speedway for Kevin Harvick. What a great track for him. First career Cup win came here in 2001. Matt mentioned all the success in the Xfinity Series. And starting on the pole here tomorrow as we look at the numbers at Atlanta. Right now 60 degrees, track temp at 89. It's going to warm up as the afternoon continues.
Yeah, we're going to have 2 stages of 40 laps each, 40 and 80, and then a final stage of 83 laps. Pit window somewhere between 54 and 58 laps. That's for fuel. We're going to want tires about lap 5, right, Chase?
At least, I think maybe even 2 or 3. So it'll be interesting. These crew chiefs have a lot on their mind today, trying to balance these pit stop stages, and only 5 sets of tires is not a whole lot.
Saw Brandon Jones going to the back. He's in a backup car. Sophomore driver from right here in Atlanta, Georgia. And Dakota Armstrong also dropping to the rear. He hit the wall in qualifying earlier today. Brad Keselowski in the 22 car rolling off 3rd this afternoon.
4, have a good one down there, boys. I know how Atlanta is. We'll be seeing you a few times, and looking forward to it. It's a good old racetrack. It's been a good race for us. I'm ready, excited, and see if we can get that first win of 2017 here.
I said yesterday, give me Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick, who have combined for the last 4 victories here. And Michael, you can have the field, and that makes me nervous because that 22, the double deuce, pretty fast this weekend.
Yeah, and I took the field, Chase. I think that Brad Keselowski can do something with him, and it'll be really interesting to see how William Byron stacks up against these Cup veterans. I think we're going to see a bunch of Cup guys race to the front and stay there, but if the kid like William Byron can get in the middle of that mix and finish in the top 2 or 3, you'll have to put a circle around his name for sure, destined for stardom.
Definitely, that's a tall order, but also means that much more if you can pull it off. So there's a lot of young guys that I think are going to be stout today. A 42 car will be good as always, but I look at Kevin Harvick with a new team, but he'll still be fast.
You know what's interesting? I asked Kyle Busch, how will William Byron do in 2017? He said, I know of 10 races he won't win because that's how many I'm
10
running.
that he's in?
That's
yeah.
exactly right.
And he was a little extra proud when he took that pole position away from his old prodigy earlier today. Second race of 2017 for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Kyle Busch won this race 1 year ago from the pole alongside the kid from Charlotte, William Byron, making his first Xfinity start at Atlanta. Time to put the green flag in the air on a beautiful Saturday afternoon in Hampton, Georgia.
That outside line sure is hard to get going in here. It's very, very tough to do, and as we saw there, William had a little tire spin, so that's not uncommon at all.
Look at Elliott Sadler already making it 3 wide off turn 2. We know that's a fast Chevy. That #1 car, issues in qualifying with a flat tire, he'll be racing toward the front.
How anxious in the early stages on this surface side by side?
It can be. I mean, I think you have to recognize, tires are always at a premium here as we see Kyle Larson making it 3 wide down the front stretch. But it's one of those things you have to balance the longevity of a whole fuel run or at least a tire run, and
Oh, contact.
We got hit the left side door here, guys. Left side door. I'm not sure.
Ty Dillon got sideways in the 3. Blake Cook nowhere to go. It's been a real tough weekend for that 11 machine, and not the start that Ty was looking for.
No, he was back in the 19th position when the thing switched ends on him. Big hit to the left rear. I think that'll be that might be repairable, but Blake Cook's going to have issues getting his done with the crash clock running. See if we can see what happened. Low on the track. Just gets loose on entry, doesn't he?
It's like he has a left rear tire go down.
Maybe some contact on the start.
Definitely could be. Yeah, definitely looks like a left rear tire going down, and obviously nowhere for Blake Cook to go.
Yeah, he might have had that saved if not for Blake Cook coming along and simply could not avoid the contact.
Blake was trying his best to get to the bottom and just couldn't quite get it cut down off the bank.
Yeah. And credit to Ty for holding on to that. Getting a left rear tire going down the entrance to 1.5 miles like Atlanta is no easy task. So he had it going his way.
Early caution at Atlanta Motor Speedway. It's for the 3 and the 11. Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, Denny Hamlin, Matt Tifft, William Byron, your top 5.
going to Atlanta, this is where we start, kind of our bread and butter racetracks.
How you run here really is going to show where you're at as a program, where you're at as a team, and how strong you're going to be on the mile and a half.
You want to not be clawing your way to the top of the points. You want to be making sure that you're, comfortable and you can just keep working hard and be aggressive all year.
You said this earlier in the weekend, Michael, but this race, such a precursor to what we can see throughout the year. The first of 11 mile and a halves on the schedule. 5 of the 7 races in the playoffs will be at mile and a half venues. Blake Cook involved in this first accident. You can see he's gone behind the wall. He is done for the afternoon. What's the latest on Ty Dillon, who's made a couple of trips down pit road, Matt?
And Adam, they've been doing some repair damage on that 3. You can see there's still work left to be done. They were trying to put some bare bond, but they had to leave pit road because the leaders were coming around. They did not want to lose a lap. Still more bare bond here in the pit of the 3.
And based on the numbers I'm looking at, Ty is still on the lead lap. Because he went on the crash clock, he'll have to get up to minimum speed when the green flag goes back in the air. Same for Justin Allgaier, who also came down pit road, got some damage in that opening dust-up.
Oh, I see. It looks like they had some type of, maybe get the car up off the ground to hold it while they fixed it. Just a block of wood there.
You know, it's interesting, Adam. There's so much going on early in this race. Blake Cook crashed out. There's Ty Dillon with his issues. And hearing William Byron's having some radio issues. And on the start of the race, Chase, you know this well, that outside lane is just so hard to get a hold of. I know his team had given William Byron a heads up. You're going to have to watch that, but he still couldn't execute. Can you get going on that outside lane? What's the deal?
I think you can. We're about to find out if you can or not. Brad Keselowski being the veteran that he is, I think if he can't get going, then I think we might see some struggles there today. If he can, then it's definitely possible. But having those radio problems with William, that's not a very satisfying feeling to have to deal with at the beginning of the day. But that's something he's smart enough to work through, and I don't see that bothering him throughout the day.
He's got a good, even temperament. But no one wants radio problems, especially when you're making your first career start at this place. William gonna go green from the 5th position here. We'll get the restart as we complete lap number 6. Kyle Busch inside of Brad Keselowski.
I'd say it's possible. It looks like it, at least. Brad got a pretty good run there on the top and didn't have a very good push from behind, but at least he got going okay.
Not a bad effort for Denny Hamlin on the restart, too.
No, and William Byron, he's up from 5th to 4th, and after starting on the front row, he's rebounded from that rough initial start.
Matt Tiff strong on the restart. Scored back there in the 6th position, side by side with Brennan Poole into the corner.
That's curious to see what Brad can do here. If he can maybe move around at all, or if we're about to find out whether or not this top lane is going to come in. If it does, I think that's great news for some of these guys that like to move around.
Oh wow, what a run he got off turn 2. And you're exactly right, Chase. These guys are just looking for opportunities to move into a different part of the racetrack. Brad got the momentum off 2, and he was able to use it all the way down the back straightaway to pass Kyle.
Here's something we haven't said this a lot. Brad Keselowski, Team Penske out front in the Xfinity Series. It's been a while since they've won. This is a good early sign for them, Chase.
It is for sure. I know throughout 2014 and the couple years I was there, we always talked about the 54 and the 22. And even though it's not the 54 anymore, the 18 and the 22 is still a hot topic here.
We're talking about that 19 quite a bit, it looks like, huh?
Look at this move Matt Tiff makes. Does the same thing Brad Keselowski did off turn 2 with a lot of momentum and drives around William Byron. That's impressive.
Car looks really good, nice and straight up off the bottom. That's going to be a big friend and benefit if you can continue to do that throughout the entire run.
And let me give you a little heads up, Adam. Brendan Gaughan is running around the top. Are you shocked?
Surprise, surprise. I'll tell you one thing that does surprise me, though. The 42 kind of sliding back in the early portion of this race and going the opposite direction. Elliott Sadler had a tire problem in the opening round of qualifying, rolled off 22nd. He's already inside the top 10.
Daniel Hemrick there in the blue 21 car. Late model racer from North Carolina that's progressed straight up from the Legends cars to late models and now made it to the Xfinity Series. Whoa.
It's like, yeah, Kyle having some trouble there. Wow.
You don't get much more sideways than that, do you?
No. And those seams, we see those paving seams on the exit of turn 2 and turn 4. Well, they're actually all the way around the racetrack, but at some point you have to cross them to run the bottom of the racetrack. And that is definitely can be slick, especially as the tires wear.
Did Brendan get in the back of Kyle exiting turn 2?
They both lost a lot of speed there, and Elliott Sadler nearly with a moment as he goes below Brendan Gaughan.
The popular word of the day is going to be, oh, because we're going to see a lot of cars sideways and a lot of cars bumping and banging.
And we're only 12 laps in, thank you very much.
Check out Brendan Gaughan as he exited turn 2, had a huge run on Larson. Larson didn't know he was there, slides up, or he knew he was there, just was out of control, tries to slide up in front of Brendan, and they make contact. It bent the right rear fender of the 42 car. Sometimes you can bend that fender where it actually isn't a bad thing, can't you, Chase?
And that's so easy to do when you have a guy come in with a big run like that. That was definitely not intentional on Kyle's part. You can see he tried to leave a lane for Brendan to run the top, and just like I said, as you cross those seams, it's so slick, and just sliding up towards that wall a lot of times it's kind of out of your control.
Things have settled down just a bit in this portion of the field. Elliott Sadler picks off one more from 22nd to 8th in 12 laps. Pretty good, huh, Matt?
Due to that flat tire, 1 less or 2 less heat cycles on his set of tires is the one of Elliott Sadler. Like you mentioned, he's pretty excited about how that car has moved from 22nd all the way up to 8th. Now, Elliott told me he and crew chief Kevin Mendry have been working on strategies. They may play some unique cards with the stages as far as possibly doing the opposite of some of the other contenders around them.
And we're closing on the halfway point in this opening stage of the day. The breakdown here at Atlanta, 40 laps for the first 2 stages. The final stage will be 83. Brad Keselowski out front. We've had 1 caution. Blake Cook hit a sliding Ty Dillon. Cook went behind the wall. His day is done. He has been released from the care center. Ty Dillon, who went on the 5-minute clock, the crash clock is back up to minimum speed, so he will continue. And a look there at Kevin Harvick. Really a status quo day for him. Started right around that 10th position, currently scored 11th.
Yeah, and I asked Kevin about the grooves around this place. I said, you'll be right out next to the wall, right? And he said, I don't think so. I think I'll run every lap in the Xfinity car right around the bottom. We saw Brad Keselowski and a lot of cars make some moves up top. How do you balance your preference for liking the bottom, but then see other guys trying the top with success?
I think a lot of it is kind of tire dependent. And, you know, the top to me seems like it can be pretty aggressive on your tires. Sometimes can wear them a little quicker than you might see on the bottom. Kevin is a big believer in the bottom of the racetrack, as am I. Personally, I'm a big fan of being down there, but there are pros and cons of that, but he obviously makes it work really well, and I think it just really helps the life of your tire as we see these longer runs.
We mentioned Blake Cook has come from the care center. He's with Jamie Little.
And he's okay. His day is done after lap 2. What did you see?
Oh man, you know, we were pretty loose there at the beginning of the race. So it was on entry. I saw the 3 cars spinning, and I was trying to gather it up. I thought maybe he'd stay up there and I could sneak behind the bottom, but then he started coming down the hill, and I was on the apron and just couldn't slow down and miss him. So it's so unfortunate for my whole team, and everybody from Leaf Filter. But I'm so thankful for Leaf Filter and their loyalty to me and all the fans watching on Xfinity X1. So it's going to be a good race. Just a lot of racing left, and I wish I was out there.
Thanks, Mike.
Guy that did such a good job a year ago, made the playoffs, nearly went to the championship 4. Rough start for Blake Cook in 2017. So there's the leader, Brad Keselowski, nearly a second in front of Kyle Busch. Then it's Denny Hamlin, Matt Tifft, and William Byron, who completes the top 5. Solid effort early for the rookie, Chris.
Well, Adam, you heard that he had got some radio communication issues there. He can hear the team, but the team cannot hear him. So the team is telling him, hey, when you're coming down pit lane, give us a thumbs up if the car is loose. Give us a thumbs down if the car is too tight. And when we ask you questions, give the car a little wiggle right to left if your answer is yes, and then just keep the car straight if it's no. But dealing with a race like today in Atlanta, how tough is it going to be to adjust that car?
What do you think, Chase?
To be honest with you, I think you know, I've worked with that group that Williams working with today. They do a good job. Dave's smart on the box, and I think if he can just give them a general direction of what the car is doing, I really think they'll have a good enough idea of how to adjust it. As much as it seems like it'd be a big issue, I think that he can. I think he can adapt and overcome that.
You know, if they told me to wiggle it, if I had an issue, I'd say it's wiggling. I can't help it. It won't go straight.
That is very true here, and we were just looking here. Wow, that's a close call.
You kind of got to learn as you go here, right? I mean, you never stop the learning process at a place like Atlanta because the car's continually changing.
They do, and definitely, as like I said, as the run goes along, these tires and the fall off is just so massive. I think that's why the drivers and teams love this racetrack so much, because it's something that you can change and you can move around a little bit. But very interesting to see just the different lines. The 22 and the 18 are very committed to the top in 1 and 2 right now, and making a lot of time.
And the 41 has dedicated himself to the bottom. The last couple of laps, that's Kevin Harvick in the blue car on the bottom there. He's been the fastest car on the track. What are they saying down in the pits, Matt?
He broke into the top 10 just a couple laps ago and climbing up the leaderboard, now up to 8. He was telling his team the car is excellent on entry, but it starts to go tight in the center when he wants to get back in the gas. That's what they're going to try to work on the stop, and a big part of this program is trying to help the SHR Xfinity program, but also Cole Custer. He spent a lot of time. Cole told me that Kevin told him a lot about throttle and braking points, and especially that unique line.
Chase, you know all about Kevin Harvick being good here because you were his teammate when he won those races for Junior Motorsports a couple of years ago.
For sure, and I learned a lot from Kevin at this place, and he's a guy that you know, I was lucky to have at JRM in 2014 and 15, especially 2014, to really lean on him as I was going to places for the first time. Asked him a lot of questions. We talked on the phone a lot, and he was very, very kind and open and willing to talk about some of this stuff. And here at Atlanta particularly, he's very tough, and I learned a lot from him from this place for sure.
And from now to the stage, if we make those 20 more laps, that's when that experience that Kevin Harvick has, and our leader Brad Keselowski and Kyle, that's when that's really going to pay off, because they're going to understand how to use that throttle and how to use the steering to take care of those tires and get 20 good laps out of their tires on the next run here.
One guy I want to pay off, Ty Dillon, restarted 38th after he went through that slide earlier, got the damage. He's rallied up inside the top 20, being scored in the 18th position. And with 17 laps to go in this opening stage, time to start thinking about strategy, Larry McReynolds.
Yeah, I would say it's over these next 7 to 8 laps that the heart rate of these crew chiefs are up, because this is where it's kind of in no man's land if you get that caution, because the pace has slowed down over 2 seconds. Now, honestly, once we cross about lap 30 or 32, I think it's a no-brainer. If you get the caution, you come and get the tires, even though the stage is a few laps away. But Kevin Harvick in that 41, he's doing exactly what we saw him do in Cup practice earlier. He never cut a fast lap, but he saved his stuff, and now he's moving toward the front.
Now he was 11th about 10 laps ago, and now he finds himself in the 5th position and closing on Matt Tifft, the only series regular inside the top 5. Early on, it's been Brad Keselowski and Kyle Busch, the 22, out front right now. 11 laps to go in the opening stage for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. It's the Rinnai 250. We're live at Atlanta Motor Speedway. 22 of our first 29 laps led by that guy, Brad Keselowski.
18 takes a little bigger arc into 3, gets to the same bottom you do, but he gets there a little bit later. Runs about a half a car width lower on the high lane of 1 and 2. You're above the seam, he's on the seam with his left side tires.
Is that the kind of information you're looking for as a driver? I know you're trying to hit your line precisely. Input from your spotter, Joey Meyer, telling Brad Keselowski what the competition's doing.
For sure, and Joey is definitely one of the more talkative guys I think that we hear on the radio, which it's all preference. Brad likes it, and if he likes more information, that's great. I think everybody's a little different.
Good news for one Ford and Brad Keselowski, who's leading and dominating right now. Not so good news for Darrell Wallace Jr., who's also in the Ford camp. Scored 23rd, and a little run in here with the 4 of Ross Chastain.
Just had that higher groove working at him off turn 4. A lot of momentum. Chastain did not know he was there and just moved up the track and ran Bubba into the wall.
Communication is key. The Ford team said this on the radio.
Apologize for me. Will do.
Does that help, Chase? Does he feel better now?
I don't know that he feels a whole lot better, I'm going to be honest. That's a lot of damage too, and these cars are so sensitive. Any right side damage is very important. So hate to see that for Bubba, but definitely wasn't intentional. Just kind of one of those deals.
Good news for Bubba, Chris, still on the lead lap, 23rd, so not out of the game as we close on the end of stage 1.
Yeah, but not having the day he was hoping for. Yesterday in practice, he was very happy with his race car. Today in qualifying round 1, he was second quick out there, but said the car just got too loose as qualifying went on. Well, that's the same problem he's having with the race. He says he's hanging on for dear life right now. Said the car is in decent shape after getting into the wall, but right now that car just way too loose.
He's going in the wrong direction. You know, a guy that's done a nice job early, we talked about him off the top. Backup car, started at the rear. Brandon Jones inside the top 20 in 19th. That's not an easy deal, but if he can get his way toward the top 15 at the end of stage 1, that's a real win, huh?
It is definitely. It doesn't hurt at all, and you know, I've been very interested to see. I'm blown away right now that the top is running as well as it is, and I think the stage racing is having an effect on that, because a lot of times you want to run the bottom to try to conserve tires so that life of that tire will last longer, and typically the top wears a little more. These guys are all committed to the top, making good time. We see Harvick still committed to the bottom. He's a little faster, but not catching him quite as quick as I think we expected.
Harvick up to 4th. Daniel Hemrick inside the top 5 in 5th. And as Harvick tries to go around Denny Hamlin, Justin Allgaier on fresher tires had made a pit stop. He's trying to get back on the lead lap. It's been a rough afternoon for that 7 car, Jamie.
Well, he had some rear deck lid damage from that first pileup, but then you see there, that is the right front tire off the 7 of Justin Allgaier. He radioed to his guys, I think I have a tire going down. Well, it just came off. I talked to a Goodyear official. They said that is excessive wear, and what they've recommended to these teams today, because it's the first race of the weekend, to short pit between lap 35 and 40, because this is what you can see.
Allgaier actually 2 laps down in the 36th position. That tire didn't look good. That won't build confidence in anybody.
No, definitely not. We actually saw some tire issues with the track wasn't quite as rubbered in yesterday, but throughout truck practice, excited to run the truck race here in just a little while too, but we saw some tire issues throughout that practice, and with as wide as these guys are making the racetrack right now, that's definitely not surprising.
So you just like it all, right? You're going to do a little Xfinity TV and then hop in a truck this afternoon.
This weekend has become very busy. You know, I appreciate you guys having me up here. This is definitely a very different perspective than what I'm used to having, so it's a lot of fun, something different, and the folks at GMS were kind enough to ask me to run the race in their 23 truck, and I'm excited to do that tonight too.
As if coming home wasn't enough, all the busy track activity, announced the foundation up here with us. It's a good weekend. And here comes what would be an unscheduled pit stop with 3 to go in the stage. Brennan Poole going to come down to that 48. What's the story there, Jamie?
Well, he's been pretty decent, not complaining about his car. The only complaint was he was having a hard time hearing his spotter earlier, so they were working on those issues. But again, Goodyear recommended these guys short pit, and they're doing just that between lap 35 and 40. but no urgency here on the 48. Wasn't complaining about anything in the car.
I think something went wrong. He was running right along with his teammate Kyle Larson, and he just started to fall back dramatically. And they wouldn't have pitted right now with the stage ending in just a couple of laps if it weren't for a serious issue. Maybe a flat tire on the 48, just like we saw a minute ago.
And they got in just in time because the pits closed 2 laps prior to the end of the stage. So they were able to get in before that happened. Brad Keselowski in some traffic, and Darrell Wallace Jr. trying to stay on the lead lap as we close on the end of stage 1.
And Kevin Harvick, we see him starting to make up that valuable time around the bottom of the racetrack. I think we kind of expected that. He stayed very committed. I know we keep talking about him, but that's a big deal. And as we see the end of the stage coming, I'm curious to see how that time management will play as the race goes on. He had a lot of time to make up starting where he started, and he's cut into that lead quite largely.
End of stage 1. That was close for Darrell Wallace Jr. trying to stay on the tail end of the lead lap. Brad Keselowski takes the opening stage. Second to Kyle Busch. Then it's Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin, and Daniel Hemrick, your top 5. Opening stage at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And now the caution comes out, signifying the end of this first 40-lap run.
And Brennan Poole will take a wave around, I predict, and he will get his way back on the lead lap. So could have been worse for that team.
Because we know everybody now, with this stage and the caution coming out, they'll be making pit stops when we return. Stage 1 complete at Atlanta Motor Speedway for the NASCAR XFINITY Series. So we're just over 40 laps into this thing. Pit road going to be open, and here are the series regulars that picked up points. Daniel Hemrick doing the best of anybody. Look at that, 3 rookies inside the top 10. Hemrick was 5th. He gets 6 points for his efforts. Brad Keselowski, the overall race leader. Pit stops coming here, and to clean up, Darrell Wallace Jr. did, by like inches, stay on the lead lap.
How lucky are we in 2017? All these kids getting up in there mixing it up with the veterans.
and having great opportunities to do it at that. Have some fast cars to drive, which helps a lot.
Yeah, driving for some of the best teams. Let's get pit stops. Chris Neville, you're up first.
And Brad Keselowski leading 35 laps. Very happy with his race cars. In fact, he's saying, I don't want any changes, just 4 tires. Kyle Busch in that upper right box. He's saying his car a little bit too loose early in the run, later in the run, way too tight. Matt.
Denny Hamlin hits his box. First Xfinity start here in 5 years. His car too free on entry. He's not a fan of that. Kansas Cup team pitting him. Meanwhile, Kevin Harvick has his 4 Cup team pitting that 41. His car free and tight. Slight chassis adjustment was going to be expected. Air pressure change on the 41.
Brad Keselowski able to hold serve when the battle off pit road. No surprise. Everybody getting 4 tires. And there was some movement. Cole Custer, William Byron picking up a couple of spots on the pit lane, +4 for the 19 of Matt Tifft, who's off to a good start today.
I know Kevin Harvick isn't confused, but I'm a little bit confused about how he attacks this stage, because he was fast on the bottom, but he lost a lot of ground early. Does he take his car up top and try to cut some quick laps in the beginning, or does he just take care of those tires?
I think he takes care of them again. He's very committed, so we'll see.
Let's see what Brad's thinking. Brad Keselowski, it's Michael Waltrip, Chase Elliott up in the FS1 booth. Do you copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, we just want to know how it feels out there. Looks like you got the high line working in one end. You're on the bottom. Is the car balanced that well?
It's been pretty good so far. You know, it's hard to tell a lot, Michael, from this run because you're starting under qualifying tires, which are not the best with all the wear from all those laps. But so far, Discount Tire Ford running real strong compared to everybody else, and hopefully we can keep tuning on the balance. Gregor and the team are, I know, going to give it their best, and we can stay up front here.
Yeah, hey Brad, this is Chase. Just us watching up here, I've been very surprised myself at how well the top lane has come in and 1 and 2. Do you expect that to stay the same, or do you see it moving back to the bottom by the end of the day?
Yeah, it's a big question mark. You know, we're all on old tires here, so I could see that changing a couple times back and forth. It's a big question mark for me. I don't know.
Sounds good. You guys have a good day.
Thank you.
Brad Keselowski wins the opening stage. He joins us on FS1. He was with us for qualifying. He's on NASCAR Race Hub this week. He's loving that airtime. The fans loving the race so far at Atlanta.
Here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, we welcome you back into the Hollywood Hotel. Shannon Spake alongside Larry McReynolds. So we've watching Kevin Harvick move through the field, but I think the thing that stands out to us is 1, 2, 3, 4 Cup guys in the top 5. What does that say to you, Larry?
Yeah, I can't say I'm totally shocked. I felt like experience would prevail, especially with the way this tire is given up with this downforce package, but I love the way Kevin Harvick ran that stage, and we've got another one coming. He conserved for 20 laps, and then he got after for the last 20 laps right inside the top 5.
And I think Cole Custer has been very impressive. You mentioned to me that he was talking to Kevin Harvick, his teammate, before this race started, so maybe he got a little veteran advice, Adam, from Kevin.
And one driver we're going to have to keep an eye on, Shannon, as we begin stage 2, Daniel Hemrick. No doubt a fast race car. 5th at the end of stage 1, lost 10 positions in that pit exchange. He will restart in the 15th position, and Darrell Wallace Jr. going to start behind him after all that adversity he faced.
I've been real impressed with Daniel Hemrick during the first run here today, so see if he can overcome that. And then just the job that Custer's done, driven right up into the top 5. The kids, the young guys are really doing a nice job on this tough surface.
Restart comes as we complete lap 47. Brad Keselowski choosing the inside lane.
Denny Hamlin got a good start on that outside, but Kyle didn't. You can see he loses a couple of spots. He'll make them up, though. Look at that.
It won't take long, but you know, got a good run on Kevin here. I mean, as bad of a start as Kyle was struggling to get, Denny, I think, bailed him out there. He had a great run and gave him a good push.
How much of that run the 18 got is just being in that outside lane and that momentum that you carry off of turn 2?
It is, and you're basically wide open through 1 and 2 as we see. You know, Kyle spins his tires. Denny had a great run, rolled to his bumper, gave him a great shove down the front straightaway. And although he's losing time to the 22, he's now building momentum with the 20 behind him, and that gave him that big run up off turn 2.
That's a good teammate right there. And we saw how important Kevin thinks the bottom of the racetrack is. When they come off turn 2, he just pulled down, made Kyle go around the top so he could keep that bottom groove when he got to turn 3.
He wasn't going to give it up, that's for sure. He was fine with them passing him as long as it wasn't on the bottom.
So you had the 19-year-old William Byron with the 19-year-old Cole Custer, and the 2 rookies are 38 combined right in front of the 41-year-old Elliott Sadler on track. I'm sorry, if Elliott's watching this back, he's not going to be happy with that comment.
Yeah, I remember back in 04, I think it was, I ran 3rd at Darlington to Kyle Busch and Brian Vickers, and on the last lap I added their age together and mine was more. I said I might ought to think about starting to do something else one of these days. It's just so impressive how prepared you guys are when you show up. Chase, we raced late models together a few years back, and I didn't even know you knew how to drive yet, and you about beat me then. But when you got to NASCAR, it was just impressive how much you knew about driving a race car, just from watching your dad growing up, right?
Well, I think some of it's that, and some of it's just the amount of short track racing that you're able to do at a young age this day and time. You know, I look at guys like Daniel Hemrick, William Byron. I've raced a lot with Daniel over the years, raced legend cars against him, late models, super late models. So we've spent a lot of time racing. We kind of came from the same asphalt late model world as did guys like Eric Jones. So a lot of time racing against him. But to be honest with you, I think more than anything, Michael, it's just the time that you have and the amount of racing you can do from, you know, 13 to 17 is just huge, way more than it used to be. So by the time you get to here and this level, if you have that opportunity, you should be very well prepared, and these guys obviously are.
Things settling out at the front. Keselowski, 1/4 of a second in front of Kyle Busch. Some good battles back behind him. Kevin Harvick is 3rd, Denny Hamlin 4th. We saw William Byron battling with Cole Custer a minute ago. The 9 settled into 5th. Sadler, after his problems during qualifying, finds himself in the 6th position. There's Daniel Hemrick, made up 1 spot since the restart. And a quiet early afternoon for this guy, Kyle Larson, 2nd here a year ago. Is this just preserving equipment for late in the day? What do you make of this, Chase?
His car looks really loose to me. I could be wrong. That's a guess. But, you know, for him, we all know he can get the top rolling. And, you know, the 22 can make it happen up there. I'm surprised he hasn't moved up there yet, and that tells me he's pretty loose and just not comfortable enough to do it.
And now the battle for the lead. Kyle Busch led the early laps of this race. Brad Keselowski took over. Busch said, I want some more of that. Unable to make it happen here.
Well, Keselowski ran in 31.93, and both Kyle Busch and Harvick ran in 82, so they were a little bit quicker. Kyle made a bid for the lead. Kevin's just dedicated to the bottom of the racetrack.
And Kevin is loving what he's seeing right now, because those guys moving around trying to take each other's air and take that downforce off the car behind him. He's staying disciplined, committed to the bottom, staying on that yellow line, and he's loving this, because when we get 15 or 20 laps into this run, if we don't see a caution, I could see him driving right by him with no problem.
How's everything in the leaders camp, Chris?
Adam, last year, I think just about every weekend we heard the drivers of the 22 car complaining that the car just didn't turn very well in the center of the corner. Talking to crew chief Greg Irwin today, he said, we did so much last year. We changed the chassis, we changed the aero, we changed motors, and finally we started finding speed. Talking to Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski, they like to say finding speed is like stacking pennies. Well, they finally have stacked enough. They've got some speed in that car, but we got a lead change.
Yeah, he needs a little more speed right here, because Kyle Busch, big dive down to the inside, going for the top spot, cannot complete the pass.
And like Chase said, the only people enjoying this battle for the lead more than Kevin Harvick are the fans, because they're enjoying a good race for the lead, but he's saying, you guys keep wearing those tires out and I'll come knocking.
He sure is loving it. See two teammates battling here, all four. Elliott has the bottom lane working nicely.
Sadler started all the way back in 22nd, but has slowly worked his way to the front, and the guy that won our first two stages last week is in the top 5 for the first time today. What do you have for us, Jamie?
And Austin Dillon there in the 2. He just came on the radio and told his team, all my gauges are flashing. It's not running right. We might be blowing up. They told him, just stay out there as long as you can, see if it sorts itself out. But he said the temperatures are pegged right now, and now he thinks he has a fuel issue.
Well, that's not fun. Austin Dillon doing triple duty this weekend. Trucks, Xfinity, and Cup. We're thinking about a commercial break, and we said, wait a minute, we might get a lead change.
We might have a three-way battle for the lead
yes.
before we go to commercial. Look at these guys.
Yeah, and Kyle, I'm impressed that, and I've said this as the day has gone along, but to run the top in 3 and 4 is not easy here, and he's making it work. I'm surprised. I think even to maintain the distance he is right there is almost a success.
You saw the stat. Brad Keselowski has led 49 of 57 laps, but it's been anything but easy so far today, and it's getting a lot harder right now, because Busch is not the only one there. Kevin Harvick also right in his hip pocket. So as we go to break, because at some point we have to go to break, we'll go side by side so you miss none of the action. Kevin Harvick around Kyle Busch. He is second and stalking race leader Brad Keselowski. 17 laps to go in our second stage here at Atlanta Motor Speedway for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. And I think this whole Stewart-Haas move from Chevy to Ford thing, it's going to work out. I mean, they won the Daytona 500. Kevin Harvick is on the pole for tomorrow's Cup race, 500 miles at Atlanta Motor Speedway, and he's out front here in Xfinity competition. Got around Brad Keselowski while we were away. And if you're not accustomed to seeing Kevin in the 41 Textron car, pretty much same sponsor he's won with here. Last couple of times he went to Victory Lane, it was Bad Boy Buggies. A little rebranding. Nevertheless, the same folks calling the shots that have got Kevin Harvick out front once again, a familiar scene at Atlanta, and he's pulling away now that he's got the top spot, Matt.
Back in the first stage, Harvick's car took off a little slow due to the fact the car was on the splitter. They adjusted for that on the first pit stop. I looked at Harvick's tires that came off. They look fantastic for tires that ran 40-plus laps here at Atlanta. No issues whatsoever. The only comments he's made recently, car's good.
Yeah, I'd say so. Matt, he covered the field by 0.3 of a second the last lap, and that was in some traffic, so he's got that thing hooked up. And I think everybody in the garage area had a pretty good idea that this 41 car would be tough to beat today because of Harvick's history here. And he predicted correctly, Chase, when he told me at the beginning of the week, I think I'll be right down on the bottom of the racetrack. He tells people what he's going to do and then goes and does it better than them.
And everybody watches it too, and he still does it better. So that's something that I'm paying a lot of attention to. I sure would like to figure it out like he has it. That's for sure.
Watch that 42 car up ahead of Elliott Sadler. That's Kyle Larson. Overheard his spotter telling Kyle, get that thing to the bottom. Let's run on the bottom. I don't know if we can beat Harvick here today doing that, but we're going to learn things tomorrow night for the Cup race by running that bottom line. That's what their agenda is, and now he's moved into the top 5 with a damaged race car. The right rear of that car's been out a little bit. That either might help and might not hurt either, but it's got some damage.
Man, you look at that 42, similar progress for him in stage 2 that we saw from Kevin Harvick in stage 1.
Biggest challenge for the 42 of Kyle Larson in stage 1, just holding on to that race car extremely free. When you look at the tires that came off, it looked like you were battling a very free condition. The outside shoulder of that right rear was down to the cords, but that's something typical you see on a car, whether it's extremely tight or free here at Atlanta on this very coarse racetrack. They made an adjustment. The car is much, much better now.
And Chase, you see that right rear fender bent out that I was talking about. That could create some additional side force. Maybe not hurting him too bad.
Well, you don't want any damage if you can help it, but if you're going to have any damage, it doesn't look like that's a bad way to get it. You know, definitely anytime you get the wall or brush it and you bend the right rear back towards the left side of the car, you're just hurting yourself, taking away side force and taking away grip, basically. So the way that bent out, I'm not sure that it's helping, but hopefully it's not hurting.
Really interesting when you look at our top 10 here today, the top 5, all Cup regulars with amazing resumes, and then you look at the next 5, 3 rookies are there. Among them, Daniel Hemrick, who had trouble on that pit stop, but Jamie, he's rallied back into the top 10.
Yes, just his second Xfinity Series start. So on that stop, he slid through his box. The team had to push him back, and as a result, he lost 10 positions. Well, now he's already gained 6 back, and he's telling his team on the radio, just a bit snug, just a little too tight, just not turning like he wants it to.
I'm thinking about for a young guy that doesn't have a lot of experience in how these stage races set up, does it help you get the mental game around what you're about to go and do, knowing I got some brakes built in here to reset?
It does, and you know, really, as we see the race go along, we haven't seen a lot of cautions naturally aside from the stages. So, you know, Atlanta's always been kind of known for these runs and being able to conserve your tires. And, you know, that's something that drivers enjoy. We enjoy having the ability to go out and say, hey, I want to treat this first part of this run a certain way so I can have success in the second half. Or, you know, hey, if you want to be aggressive at the beginning and try to get a big lead so that, you know, I might give up some time, but hopefully I have a big enough gap where it doesn't give all of it back away.
And just update, the only car in the 32-second bracket is your leader, Kevin Harvick. He ran a 32.80. Everybody else 33.20 or slower. This is what you call a butt kicking so far.
Even better that time. Wow, 32.70. He's got nearly a half a second on the majority of the field. He's got it rolling.
Harvick's now led 12 laps on the day. Most laps led by the guy you just saw, Brad Keselowski, who's second. He was out front for 53 circuits. Only other guy to lead, third place Kyle Busch, who has led 7. Fourth place right now, Denny Hamlin. Won last year on the 1.5 mile at Charlotte Motor Speedway. He's fourth in front of Kyle Larson, who won a couple of times in 2016, driving that 42 car and sharing it with Rookie of the Year contender Tyler Reddick, who will be back in at Phoenix.
You know, we heard the spotter talking, Chase, with Kyle Larson, said, we want you to run the bottom, get used to hitting that line. How difficult is it to do that, to get your car right down where Harvick is running?
It is definitely a major technique that Kevin has perfected, and it's something that he's been doing for a long time, and he stayed committed to it for years. And a lot of the folks that have just now caught on to it in the past few years haven't had quite that experience in doing it. Even though they've been racing for as long as he has, they haven't just given that full commitment to the bottom of the racetrack. So, you know, one thing too about getting ready for tomorrow afternoon's race is, you know, the rule changes on these cars with the lesser amount of spoiler is also, you know, more so in the direction that we see on the Cup cars now.
Been a good afternoon for Ryan Reed inside the top 12 after winning last week at Daytona, right in front of Matt Tifft. What's the story for the rookie out of Ohio, Jamie?
He's coming off an 11th place finish at Daytona, and can you believe that was the best Joe Gibbs Racing finish in Cup and Xfinity? So this rookie came in here with his head held high, and so far in this race, car hasn't been exactly where he wants it, but he's been working on pit stops and it paid off. On that first round of stops, he gained 4 positions, but right now the car's just a little snug. Matt?
Brandon Jones had impressive speed in practice. A cut tire, a crash, forced him to a backup car. Then he struggled in qualifying. The team wasn't sure why. When they looked at the car, they found out that the throttle linkage would not allow the engine to go wide open. So they made an unapproved adjustment, fixed that. They had to start at the rear of the field. Now he's just battling a free race car. It's slick, especially on corner exit. A spotter just told him there's shade starting to come in off turn 2. Go high, see if that might help your exit.
He's done a nice job, Matt, in battling with Corey LaJoie in the 24. Who's been outstanding early inside the top 15. Battle for position here. Teammates William Byron getting around the veteran Elliott Sadler, and that's big with 4 to go in the stage. An opportunity to pick up more points.
Anytime you can help that pit crew out on pit road's big, and you obviously want to see as fast of a pit stop as you can get when you're on pit road, but those pit crew members love seeing a guy move forward, and it just means that, you know, for them, that's one less guy that they can jump later on.
And remember, a couple guys had tire issues late in that first stage, so see if these tires hold up. I think the wear will just get better and better as you put more rubber down on the road.
Ryan Sieg 21st. He just went a lap down to Kevin Harvick. So 20 cars on the lead lap. Last of those, Eric Almirola, and he'll try to stay on the tail end of the lead lap with 2 remaining in our second stage of the day. And there you see the 51 of Jeremy Clements, who had some issues, came down pit road. See if we can figure out what went wrong here. There's some fire under the hood of that race car.
That's more than likely a brake issue. And when you run the bottom of the racetrack, how much brake do you use? Do you use enough to get them heated up like that?
I wouldn't think that much. You hope not, at least. That could be a number of things. You know, a piece of rubber maybe got caught on fire and got stuck somewhere in there, but definitely not good regardless. But no, I wouldn't think around the bottom of the racetrack would require that much brake for sure.
Eric Almirola went a lap down as we wrap up our second stage. Harvick, Keselowski, Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, the top 5. Stage 1 went to Keselowski. Stage 2 going to go to Kevin Harvick, who put Ty Dillon a lap down and may do the same to Brendan Gaughan. Don't think he's going to be able to hold him off. No way off turn 4. And he hit the wall. Wow. Through the grass. No caution yet, but we're going to get it here anyway as we wrap up the stage.
Heavy contact, too. I'm impressed. He held on to it through the grass. That was big.
Luckily, that splitter didn't dig in either and tear the whole front end off that car for Brendan.
Gaughan was running in the 18th position when he made contact with the wall.
He just started sliding up the hill when Kevin went to the inside and got loose and hit the wall eventually.
Right in front of his teammate, too.
And now the caution is out, not for Brendan, but ending our second stage. I think a lot of that is just digging, trying to stay on the lead lap, realizing The caution is going to come, signifying the end of the stage. We told you the top 5. Here's 6 through 10, stage 2. Byron, Sadler, Custer, Hemrick, and Austin Dillon. We're back after a break on FS1. Our second of 3 stages wrapped up here at Atlanta Motor Speedway for the NASCAR XFINITY Series. And now we take a look at how Kevin Harvick's spotter helped him worry less. It's the Liberty Mutual Insurance spotter coverage.
Still outside 3 wide, still outside 2 wide. He's still way up, middle's open, you're clear by half. Trying to get him on, still clear all the way up, all the way, all the way, all the way. Get up there, there you go. Should come with a run 1 back, so your bumper's still in line. Half back in line, all clear.
The golden tones of Tim Fedewa high atop the spotter stand and our spotter coverage, brought to you by Liberty Mutual Insurance, helping drivers worry less. That's a nice way to put that, huh?
It is very, very fitting. Tim, great guy, great spotter. Obviously, Kevin likes him a lot. He's had him around for a number of years. Typically, when you see a guy last for a long time with a certain driver, they must get along. So that's good.
How great is it to hear clear all the way up, clear, 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 clear? Those words mean everything to you.
Clear is good, unless you can tell in the voice. Even sometimes when they say clear and they say clear, but they don't really mean clear. Those are not. That's not typically a good day. That means something was quite close and not what you're looking for.
Pit road going to be open. Top 5 from stage 2. Kevin Harvick, Brad Keselowski, Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin. Best of the bunch when you look at series regulars, and the top points getter, that would be rookie William Byron, who was 6th at the end of stage 2. Pit stops, no surprise there. They all want tires. Here they are, Chris.
And Brad Keselowski saying he's losing a little bit of speed in the center of the corner. The car just not cutting as well as it did earlier, but he doesn't want to lose anything on exit. Kyle Busch falling about 4 seconds back from the leaders, saying, "Get back into the car, jumping out from underneath me." Matt?
Kyle Larson was second last year, enters pit road in the 4th position. Opposite of the first stage, his car was tight this run. Meanwhile, Kevin Harvick, no changes on the 41. Daniel Smith getting the lugs on the rear. Eric Baker off the front. He stopped a little short to try to have better ease around the 33.
Harvick wins the battle off pit road. Brad Keselowski behind him. Then it was Denny Hamlin who picked up a couple of spots. Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch went in the wrong direction, losing 2 on that exchange.
See if we can grab Harvick for a quick comment. Hey, Kevin Harvick, it's Michael Waltrip and Chase Elliott up in the FS1 booth. Do you copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, from the booth to leading the race, it's really good to have you on the FS1 team, and that car looks amazing. How do you manage this final stage?
Well, I think the big key is just keeping your tires underneath you. These guys on our Textron off-road Ford have done a great job, and just getting the balance that we needed to take care of the tires, and that's the most important thing. We don't have the fastest car for the first 10 laps, but I think those guys are just destroying their tires, and we're taking care of them and doing the things we need to do, and just having fun, man. They're fun to drive like this.
Hey, Kevin, this is Chase. It looks like a lot of fun for sure. We see just how committed you are to the bottom and doing a good job with it. Do you expect the racetrack to make any changes here for this last segment or stage, or what are you seeing there?
Yeah, I think, those guys are making time at the beginning of the run, but I just feel like that's, too hard on my car to get up there and grind off that right front tire. So I'm just going to stay committed to what we're doing and try to take care of the tires as much as I can.
Good deal. You guys go get them.
Thanks, man.
A couple of things to remind you of. Free pass at the end of stage 2 went to Ty Dillon. He was the first car 1 lap down, and all these guys have 2 sets of tires remaining. How will they use them in the final stage? Back alive at Atlanta Motor Speedway. It's been such a big weekend for Chase Elliott. The announcement of his foundation and the big benefactor, Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, and doing so many neat things, but perhaps at the top of the list, the fact that patients have designed your shoes for this weekend and you're going to auction them off. We're happy you're with us and so glad to be a part of this.
Yeah, it is really cool. And my mom deserves a lot of the credit for this, but had a little competition at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta to get our foundation started. Had some kids design shoes for myself. I'm going to wear a pair today. This is my pair for the truck race. I'm going to have another pair for tomorrow. And Dale, Jimmy, and Casey are all going to have a pair for tomorrow's race. So we're going to auction them off. I think through next Sunday. You can go on chaseelliott.com to do that. So definitely a great cause, and no better place than here at Atlanta with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta too.
How does it feel to give back?
Well, it's great. Anytime you can make a difference, big or small, I think it's good. And as you go to the hospital and see some of these kids and see what they fight, how brave they are, and their families as well, is pretty incredible.
And for more information, go to chaseelliott.com/foundation. You can make donations there and find out about how you can be a part of this shoe auction. Okay, we get the restart as we complete lap 88. Kevin Harvick, the race leader, choosing that inside lane. Brad Keselowski right there with him.
Oh, Denny Hamlin's been all over these restarts, hasn't he? He gave Kevin a nice push that time, got him out in front of Brad. Brad did a good job on that outside line. Looks like Kevin's going to prevail.
Clean air, as we all know, such a big deal, and giving Kevin what he wants right here at the beginning of this run is bad news, I'd say.
Look who got to dive down to the bottom going into 3. Kyle Larson grabs the 3rd spot away from Hamlin.
Funny how now that the money's on the line, driver 42 has worked his way to the front. Kevin Harvick, though, leading this race. He's been out front for 29 laps today.
You know, if this thing runs green, just go longer than everybody else. You know, finish your gap. You know, for the extra laps, whatever you think that gap is, and hopefully we still have a gap. You know, trying to have the freshest tires if at all possible. And for man.
They got 2 sets of tires left, and Kevin already thinking about the strategy to the end.
And we haven't seen cautions just yet, so interesting to see what kind of play they make. We saw Rodney Childers and Kevin Harvick short pit Jimmy Johnson last year to win the Cup race, so that's a big game.
Larry, the strategy playing out just as you had hoped if you'd been on the pit box today.
No question, and then there were 2, and that means 2 more sets of tires laying in these pits. Now remember, the fuel window is about 54 to 58 laps. I'm going to disregard that. I think good strategy would be to split this stage in half. But when you're like Kevin Harvick in the 41, to his point, when you're leading, you can let everyone else do the short pitting, and you can actually wait just a little bit.
One thing to keep an eye on here as well, 18 cars on the lead lap. The more guys you put a lap down, the easier it makes your job as the race leader to manage that strategy. Kyle Busch lost a couple of spots on pit road, gets one of them back here as he drives to the inside of William Byron.
Lost a couple of spots in the pits, Adam. Not a great pit stop for this gang. They're usually right on top of things, but just not a smooth stop. Nothing really sticks out as to why. Just an adjustment there on the right rear. Sometimes that slows you down a bit, but they lost a couple of spots there. He's gained 1 back. He's up into the 4th spot now and trying to hunt down Larson, who's up ahead.
I think I had it backwards a second ago. I think Jimmy and Chad actually short pitted Kevin last year, so we all know he hasn't forgot about that loss for sure.
And he was already, like you predicted, Adam, talking about how they're going to manage this race. Yes, they would like to maybe split it in half, but if they see other guys start pitting with the lead, I think they'll stay out there until most everybody's pitted and then come to the pits and have fresher tires. That's not what won the Cup race a year ago, but it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
It will for sure.
Kyle Larson really getting hungry here, looking to the inside of Brad Keselowski. Couldn't make that pass. As a driver, how much do you think about strategy, and do you get involved with that between you and Alan?
Absolutely. I mean, you definitely want to be in the know as much as you can possibly be in those situations. The problem with that is a lot of times he doesn't know what he's going to do until a situation is brought up and you're put in it, firsthand. So Alan does such a good job of being able to make calls on the fly, and a lot of times I don't know him until I get to the end of pit road down there. So, but just trying to run your race, but definitely good to know if you can. And a lot of times you can kind of guess what we are going to do, and sometimes that helps as well.
One safe bet here tomorrow: every time you come, you're going to get 4 tires, right? No brainer at Atlanta. Kevin Harvick out front, 69 to go. We have completed lap 100 of 163 in the Rinnai 250 for the Xfinity Series at Atlanta. Now our Ford Performance track facts. This is the second oldest asphalt for the NASCAR Xfinity Series next to Auto Club, but that's going to change because they're going to repave this place after this weekend. And the first race at Atlanta won by Jeff Gordon back in 1992. You look at drivers that have gotten their first Xfinity Series win here, pretty good list. Talk about Gordon in 92. Jamie McMurray did it. He's had a good career, certainly. Carl Edwards, who swept his first weekend back in 2005, and Mike Skinner also able to pull it off here. So Kevin Harvick leads, Brad Keselowski is second, and Kyle Busch, who was strong early, finds himself in the third position right now.
How bad do you think Larson will be if I blitz him on the top? There's one way to find out, I guess.
Talking about Kyle Larson, he's in the fourth position right now, and William Byron in a good spot, fifth. Let's get more with Chris Neville.
Well, this is the first weekend that Kyle Busch is working with crew chief Scott Graves. Graves won the championship back in 2015 with Chris Buescher and again with Daniel Suarez in 2016. In talking with Scott, he said this week he reached out to Kyle Busch's Cup crew chief Adam Stevens just to try and figure out what's it like communicating with Kyle. What is he like in the race car? And he said nothing against those young drivers he's worked with the last 2 years, but he's just been amazed how much Kyle knows exactly what he wants in his race car. There's no guessing.
Here's a developing story with his teammate, Denny Hamlin, pitting from 7th, 60 to go. This wasn't a part of the plan, Matt.
Unscheduled pit stop for Denny Hamlin and the 20. already going to work on the left sides. Going to look at those tires when they come off. You can see that it is unwound from the center of the carcass all the way to the shoulder on the right front, actually, of the tires that have come off Denny Hamlin's Toyota.
I guess the good news is everybody else is going to have to pit too, but Larry, can the 20 go all the way from here?
It's just right there on the threshold. Remember, the fuel window is about 54 to 58 laps, but that's actually based off much quicker lap times than what we're running. I think he can make it to the end. And here's the other thing. The window is going to absolutely completely open, as it did for Jimmy Johnson a year ago in that Cup race when they got to the fuel window to make it to the end. That's going to open for sure here in about 5 laps for these guys. So what Denny Hamlin needs to at least cycle through these green flag stops.
I'm just not so sure that the time on the racetrack versus the other guys is going to add up. You know, he might be able to make it on gas, but these guys are stretching out their fresh tires now, and then once they stop again, they're going to get to do that one more time, and he just didn't really quite take advantage of his set that he just recently put on.
Another 10 laps and he would have been golden, huh? But just about 10 too short, probably.
I'd say at least.
Here's how it shook out for Hamlin. He's the first car, 1 lap down in 18th. Maybe a caution here, gets the free pass, and they can somehow manipulate things and get back in the game. Kevin Harvick, our race leader in Atlanta.
Good old racetrack. It's been a good race for us. I'm ready. Excited, and if we can get that first win of 2017 here.
Easy, 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 easy. All the way up, all the way, all the way, all the way.
How many laps left? I got a vibration. Your right rear was down. I didn't really spin the tires or anything. I don't know why it went down.
Tight behind you, tight behind. Having fun, man. They're fun to drive like this.
Kevin Harvick, the race leaders, 52 laps to go for the Xfinity Series at Atlanta. And then it's Brad Keselowski, Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson, and William Byron, the top 5. You know, Harvick was in the booth with us last week, had a good time, but you can tell he missed being out there. He's flexing his muscles here this afternoon. And Denny Hamlin, 18th now, 1 lap down. How they feeling about things? Can they get back in it, Matt?
Adam, I spoke to one of the Goodyear tire engineers down on pit road. They looked at the right front that came off Hamlin's Toyota. They do not believe it was a significant wear issue. They believe it was something more. He ran over something, and how these tires are built, it's almost like it's come unwound, where it might have hit a thread in the tire, a piece of debris, and then it just slowly started to unwind, and then Denny felt the vibration in the tires starting to come apart.
Let's give Goodyear some credit. they do such a good job of doing what they can. You know, in a lot of ways, they're put in a box some places, and they have to bring a certain tire to a certain racetrack. And you know, hey, we're racing. There's stuff on the racetrack. Unfortunately, you're going to hit things. I've hit things in the past. You have flat tires. That stuff happens. But I think all in all, they do a fine job of bringing what they can and trying to mix it up as much as possible and keeping everybody safe.
You know, it's amazing too. They give you what you want. You want some fall off, we'll give you that. You want some tires that are durable, we'll give you that. Goodyear is amazing.
Ryan Reed came in as the points leader after winning at Daytona. He's 10th here today and just went to 11th because the double zero of Cole Custer hopped back in the top 10, Jamie.
Yeah, he's been battling for that 10th place spot. He's actually been top 10 most of this race. Of course, leaning on Kevin Harvick, his teammate this weekend, helped a lot. But the last run, actually in the last stage, he had a vibration and they weren't sure what it was when he came in. The tires all looked fine and that seemed to go away now. He's just a little bit tight as he rides around here in top 10.
Just can't believe these rookies and how they're performing in and amongst all these Cup superstars, 4 of them inside the top 10, including William Byron, who's been 5th now for a good while. They are really showing how talented they are.
They are, and like I said, I think that just comes back to how much experience you can have at 18, 19 years old is just far more than it used to be. And that's kind of the beauty of some of these series is around the United States that allow guys to race at a young age.
This is a guy that's really been clicking off some lap times. You talk about late model racing and Legends car racing. Daniel Hemrick's done it all, and he's running in the 7th spot. Last time by 31:40. That's among the top 2 or 3 fastest cars on the racetrack. And Chase, how would you rank this Atlanta Motor Speedway in difficulty? We're getting ready to go to Vegas, where we know there's a lot of grip and an interesting banking in the corners. How does Atlanta rank as among the tougher tracks?
I think it's up the list for sure, and I think a lot of it is just the amount of discipline you have to have as a racer. The asphalt's wore out, like we talk about. As racers and as teams, we love that. As I said before, it makes it a lot of fun. It makes it challenging. You have to have your cambers correct. You can't overwear the inside edge of a tire. So everything matters. But I just think that patience that you have to have as a driver to race here in some of these places that are wore out is tough. You got trouble.
Back it down here, nice and easy. Car spun out. Spin.
Good news for Denny Hamlin. There's a caution. Bad news is Denny Hamlin is the caution in that 20 car. 4th one of the day. 2nd because of an issue on track. We had a pair of cautions obviously come out at the end of stage 1 and stage 2.
Looked like the left rear tire went away, didn't it? You got an issue with the left rear?
It's definitely down now.
And liquid tires, obviously.
That's interesting to have it. It was about 15 laps of green flag running when his last tire went flat, and it happened again. You wonder if something might have rubbed that.
Left rear is down.
Something might have rubbed that left rear tire. There's no body damage though, so.
He was 18th when he had the problem. First car 1 lap down. 17th place Ty Dillon, so he'll get the free pass, get back on the lead lap.
Looks like he's had it go from bad to worse over on the back straightaway. It's smoking worse, like maybe the carcass of the tire broke rear end line or an oil line or something.
He had a lot going on right here too. Did a nice job to get out of those guys' way and not pile into one of them. So nice work, even though bad day, but good job to keep it out of the fence.
He must have felt it to slide down there where he was. He knew they were coming.
He did it. I think actually the problem was probably closer back here to the start finish line. He was already slowing up by the time he was getting to that entrance, so he definitely had a feeling something wasn't right long before he actually spun out.
And then he made an unscheduled pit stop, lap 103, when he had a tire problem. One goes away here, he spins, and now he's gone from 1 lap down and running 18th to 2 laps down. In the 22nd position, he will come back down pit road. Aerial coverage today provided by Goodyear, superior performing tires to face challenging conditions on the track and on the road. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. Caution comes out with 44 laps to go. So these guys last were on pit road, lap 84. We're at lap 119 now. You've got 2 sets of tires, no brainer. You come down pit road here, you get your tires, you're in your window to go the distance on fuel, and should we get a late caution, you still have a set of tires waiting for you. Is that right?
Sounds like a win-win for the crew chiefs, at least. It makes it easy on them. Come down. You can get fresh tires now and know you have another set. It sounds like a pretty good deal.
There's never any pressure on those guys anyway, right?
I bet that spin looked really cool on Denny's Hisense 4K TV. Those things probably put out a pretty nice picture.
And their American headquarters are where, Michael?
In Atlanta, Georgia.
Not Chicago, Illinois, like you guessed the other day.
I learned that during the broadcast. There you see a good look inside Denny's Toyota.
Pit road going to be open here. Kevin Harvick leads. Then it's Brad Keselowski, Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson, William Byron. Elliott Sadler is 6th. 7th, Daniel Hemrick. They've had some issues on pit road today. Keep an eye on that 21 as he comes in from the 7th position. Behind him, it's Austin Dillon, Matt Tifft, and Cole Custer. Could very well be the money stop, Chris Neville.
Well, Brad Keselowski said the car fired off better, but 10 laps into the run, still not turning well in the center of the corner, so we need to do more adjustments this time. Kyle Busch saying we definitely settled down the back of the car, but let's go a little bit further with that last adjustment. Matt.
Unlike the previous stop, Kyle Larson's team is going to try to fix his race car. No changes last stop. This stop, they're going to do a track bar adjustment to try to tighten him up. Meanwhile, Kevin Harvick's rookie crew chief, Richard Boswell, no changes coming on the 41 of Harvick. He stopped a little short of the box. Again, great stop, and he's away.
No problems for Kyle Busch, winning the battle off of pit road. He'll have the race lead when we go back green. Here are the rest of them as they exit the pits with 43 to go.
Welcome back to Atlanta. It's been a fun Xfinity race so far. Lap 1, things got started early. Ty Dillon skipping in.
Yeah, you're going to see him come across the apron. Nowhere for Blake Cook in this 11 car to go. They took it behind the wall, out for the day before lap 2.
And look at the back end of the 42 car here. I would say he's a little loose.
Yeah, that is like real loose. I wouldn't call that just a little loose.
That's not fast loose, that's loose loose. Brad Keselowski won stage 1, and then we would fast forward to the end of stage 2. Brendan Gaughan actually would hit the wall towards the end of stage 2, and Kevin Harvick would go on to win that race. Okay, so that stage, I'm sorry. So right now, Larry, it kind of looks like things with that last caution from the 20, we're getting ready to maybe see our last pit stop. Because if it stays green, they can go to the distance. If another one comes out, they can come down and pit with an extra set of tires. But you said it's not that simple.
It's not as easy as it sounds, because if we've only run 10 or 12 laps, you know you want tires, but are we going to have another late race caution? Now, if we run anything north of 15 and we get a caution, absolutely, you have to come get that final set of tires.
It's going to be fun to watch. This stage racing has made things very spicy, Mr. Adam.
And to confirm, Shannon, Kevin Harvick did win the battle off pit road. Let's listen in on team radio.
Open the oil temp gauge is broke. It's all the way pegged. It's dark. I think it's broke. And for water temp looks okay. It's exactly what it has been. A little less.
Usually those two are related. If the oil temperature is pegged and the gauge is working, the water temperature will probably be up as well. So I think he's pretty confident that it's just a gauge issue.
Kyle Busch restarts second in that outside lane, and we'll see if the outside lane helps him out as they come around here.
No, he couldn't get going, Adam. Lost a couple of spots, but he's rebounding up there. Looks like he's going to shoot to the inside of Elliott Sadler off turn 2.
Sadler up there in the top 3 or 4 as we get going on the restart. Kyle Larson second behind Kevin Harvick.
Well, it's Kyle Larson's time to go knocking on Harvick's door. We've had Kyle Busch challenge him, Brad Keselowski challenge him, and he's turned everyone away. What can Kyle do?
We'll see. That damage is still intriguing to me. That, you know, we saw the damage he got Brendan Gaughan as you see him looking under Kevin. Now I'm shocked that Kevin gave up the bottom right there, but the damage obviously isn't hurting the 42 at all.
Battle for the lead. Battle here between the 48 and 21. They're going at it for 11th. And we have a new race leader, Kyle Larson in the 42, able to get around the 41 of Kevin Harvick, and Kyle Busch is there as well.
Larson's team must agree with us, Chase. That damage might not be that bad. They haven't tried to fix it over there.
Daniel Hemrick 7th before the pit stops. Restarted 8th or 9th, and a little too high here.
What a solid day it's been for that young man, but just overshot the corner there a bit.
What's up with Harvick here? Going in the wrong direction.
Got a long way to go. Make sure we take care of those tires, right, Chase?
I think you said it. Long ways to go.
He played this game early, didn't he? I should have learned my lesson. Kyle Busch won this race last year, trying to go back-to-back. He's 3rd.
Jeez, man. I can spin my tires all the way to turn 1. I don't understand how to fix that. 10-4. Real good. Get her rolling.
I will tell you, that looked a little bit interesting, Chase. You know how low Kevin wanted to be on the exit of 2, and the car just didn't go there. He never got down where we've seen him run all day. And you see there, it's wanting to get up away from the yellow line a bit. So maybe this set of tires looks like the car's pushing. He's a little bit tight in the corners.
It could be. He also had the 18 car in front of him right there. So, you know, from an aerodynamic standpoint, he was at a bit of a disadvantage with Kyle, you know, pulling down, getting in front of him, and taking that air off of his nose, getting into turn 3. So I'm a little interested in the fact that he's falling back some, but at the same time, you know, we still have 36 laps to go, and heck, he was 3 to 4 or 5 tenths of a second faster than the field a little while ago. So you can make that up in a hurry.
Entering the weekend, Matt Tifft had never been here in anything. Just watch video of this place. Spent a lot of time in that 10th, 12th, maybe 15th position today. But here we are, down to 35 to go. And this rookie for Joe Gibbs Racing has worked his way to 8th, and I think doing a really, really nice job.
Yeah, it's just so impressive what the 20-year-old's been through over the last couple years. Started racing in 15 and then had brain surgery a year ago, and came back from that in the fall and was very competitive. And he started out this year great. What a great story. He's got a lot of support from the Gibbs team and the family, and he's done a great job.
Yeah, cool to see braintumor.org on the car this weekend, an organization that's become near and dear to him, and he's doing everything he can to create awareness. Going to be a part of their walk April 1st in Charlotte. Good battle for position. Brennan Poole back inside the top 10. Been pretty good today in the 48. His teammates out front. Been a good weekend for Chip Ganassi Racing. Both their cars qualified to the final round of yesterday in their Cup cars.
Remember Poole, who's driven back up into the top 10. He had a flat tire early in the race, got a lap down. He's made all that back up. So nice job by the 48 team and Brendan Poole.
That was at the end of that opening stage, and able to take a wave around when the caution came out at the end of stage 1, and has managed the afternoon quite nicely.
Goes to show you it's not over just yet. You know, the stage 1 problems can result still in a good finish, and I think that's a good lesson for everybody.
I think about Brandon Jones. Wrecked yesterday, had the tire issue, goes to a backup car. Had the problems after qualifying starts at the rear because of an unapproved adjustment, and here he is, 13th in the latter stages at Atlanta. Corey LaJoie in the top 15, doing a real good job for JGL Racing in that 24 car.
Sure is. He's always been impressive, and he does a great job with whatever opportunity he has, and certainly is showing those guys he can do it.
So Kyle Larson looking for his first Atlanta win, in command with 32 remaining.
Are you guys scanning the 1841? Yes. 10-4. By some chance they do end up catching us here throughout the run, just keep me posted on what they're saying about their car. We can try to take their line away as they get closer. 10-4.
They've done a lot of driver coaching with Kyle Larson today, wanting him to run right down on the bottom. Said we've got to do that. We've got to dedicate ourselves to that. You know as well as I do, Kyle Larson likes to ride around the high side, but he is doing the job on the bottom today.
He does, and I don't know that he really needs any help either. But at the same time, he's looks a little loose even around the bottom right now. So I'm curious to see if it'll hang on.
The 41 drifted back to third. What's the story there, Matt?
Car almost perfect all day until now. Kevin Harvick telling Richard Boswell's rookie crew chief that the car is absolutely plowing tight at this point. Now, he did try to change up his line a little bit down in 3 and 4. It seemed to help slightly, but it's still a second and a half back of the leader.
Harvick, the winner today in stage 2 after Brad Keselowski took stage 1. They are 3rd and 4th, respectively. On track at this moment in the race, Brennan Poole going for another position around Darrell Wallace Jr., who has done a good job of battling back.
He has that. Remember, hard into the outside wall in the front straightaway, now running just inside the top 10.
Down to 29 laps to go at Atlanta. Kyle Larson looking for the checkered flag. Fun afternoon so far at Atlanta Motor Speedway, the first of 2 right now, the NASCAR XFINITY Series with 25 laps to go. Kyle Larson out front. Up next, Camping World Truck Series. You're going to watch it all right here on FS1. Someone we haven't talked about in a while, Cole Custer, a lot of time in the top 10. 15th right now, Jamie Little.
Well, when he came in for his pit stop, once he exited, NASCAR said they had too many men over the wall. Of course, the team disputed it. They watched their video back. They didn't see where the extra man was, but it held. The penalty was tail end of the longest line. Cole Custer restarted 16th, and Adam, he hasn't made up any ground.
Well, he was in 10th position when he pitted, But you go tail end of the line, you got all those lap vehicles to pass. That makes it tough.
I've been on both sides of those too. To me, either too many men over the wall, you either do or you don't. I'm not sure how that can even be close, but we'll see.
Well, and you can tell once he got back in that traffic, it's just hard for him to make any progress.
All right, this is from NASCAR's officiating system. Watch the tire, though. The one thing you have to keep an eye on is a tire. If someone... Is that it right there? Too much assistance with that tire in the opening?
Yeah, I can't see.
Maybe so. One of those gray areas.
This car must have the best right rear tire in America, because he has been dead sideways since he took the lead, but yet he's still maintaining that lead. And Larry McReynolds, Kevin Harvick is saying he's plowing tight, but he's starting to close the gap.
Yeah, I'm not sure he knows everybody's monitoring, scanning his radio. But let's go back to Cole Custer. Even though there's an opening there, you still have to treat it like there is a wall. And that guy did have a foot that would be like over the wall, so that's the reason it was too many men over the wall.
Well, and that's just like in football. If your foot's on the line, you're out of bounds. You know, there's rules.
All right, caution. 21 to go.
Kevin Harvick
makes things interesting, huh?
Harvick's going to need an adjustment.
78.
Either an adjustment or another set of tires. We've seen that change from time to time.
Well, there's no question, guys. We've run roughly 20 laps, and there's going to be under 20 to go. Use that last set of stickers right here. I'd say pit road will be a busy place. Everybody 4 tires.
All weekend long, Larry said, if I'm the crew chief, I'm going to get my first set of tires at the end of stage 1. I'm going to get my second set of tires at the end of stage 2. We go to that final stage. Caution comes out. I'm going to get 1 set, and I'm going to save another set. This guy is living right down there. He knows his strategy game.
He's won a race or two, I think, on the box from what I remember. So, hey, it's worked out good for the crew chief so far. It would be hard-pressed to see somebody stay out with only 20 laps to go, but we'll see.
Yeah, our statistician Russell was questioning Larry McReynolds' crew chiefing, and Larry hit me in my ear and said, ask Russell how many races he's won sitting on a pit box. Larry McReynolds can get the job done.
Hey, and we do want to clarify that Larry was absolutely right when he talked about the violation for Cole Custer. The crew member that had his foot straddling where the opening was in the wall, that was considered an extra man. NASCAR didn't like that, therefore he was penalized on that last cycle. But hopefully everything will go good for him here. He can make something out of it. Custer's going to pit from the 14th position. His teammate Kevin Harvick will pit from 3rd behind Larson and Kyle Busch.
Larson looks like he's been running Eldora, doesn't he? He's sideways, that rear end hanging out. He's got some damage, but this is a 1.5 miles where aero is everything. He's hanging onto that baby, though.
If he looks like he's running Eldora, he's got to be comfortable. He loves that stuff. Here they come, Chris.
Well, after that last adjustment, Brad Keselowski now saying his car a little bit too loose, getting off the corner, needs to settle the back end of that car down. Kyle Busch saying, hey, we need a short run car now. I've been tight for most of the race. Now I want you to loosen it up.
3 of Kyle Larson's last 5 wins in Xfinity came on a 1.5 miles. His car started to free up as that run continued. No changes. Meanwhile, 2 changes on the 41 of Harvick. Mike Morneau, the carrier, making a chassis adjustment. Also, Richard Boswell, the crew chief, made an air pressure change on the 41. Close quarters get off pit road.
I think there was contact there for Kevin Harvick and Kyle Larson when they exited their pits, and it's actually Kyle Busch who was the first off pit road. Watch him getting in here.
Man, that is close. That tire even got in his window net, too.
Those crewmen, they're something, aren't they? Just standing there right in position to do their job. And watch exiting. How much damage is done to the front of this 41 car?
None. He's good. Good to go.
I thought for sure there was good contact there, and I'm not sure they touched it all. The guy that won it last year back out front, it's Kyle Busch. It won't be long before part 2 of our doubleheader is underway. Next up on FS1, second race of the year for the Camping World Truck Series. But right now, some business to finish up for these Xfinity teams. 1 year ago here, it was Kyle Busch that won, and second went to Kyle Larson. They're 1-2 for a restart with less than 20 to go. What do you think here, Chase?
I don't know. I mean, for me, as strong as Kevin's been in this race, he might have had a bad set of tires. I look for him to be strong in the closing laps.
Yeah, but he lost a couple spots on pit road and a little bit of damage to the 41 car as well, so that could be a factor. But we're for sure going to see a shootout. You got those 4 Cup stars up there going to be fighting for the trophy.
We're going to have another caution?
I think not. I think we just race it hard and clean. There's so much room out there. The groove is wide. You can go where they're not.
We'll see how it plays out. Kyle Busch trying to go back-to-back here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Going to get the restart with 16 laps remaining. We talk about the guys on the front row, the Kyle and Kyle show. Brad Keselowski joined on row 2 by Kevin Harvick, who was very good in the middle stages of this race, led more laps than anybody. Then it's Elliott Sadler, Austin Dillon, Darrell Wallace Jr., Matt Tifft, William Byron, Brennan Poole, your top 10. Here we go once again.
Harvick's trying to shove Kyle Larson along. Seems like the guy on the second row on the outside can make some ground, but the leader can't.
An outside lane, tough on Kyle Larson on this restart.
It is. It's been tough on everybody. Michael and I were just talking as to why that is, and I really don't have a good logical reason as to why that is, but it's tough nevertheless.
Darrell Wallace Jr. making some things happen late in this race.
How about a rebound there? He rebounded off the outside wall in stage 1, and now he finds himself racing in the top 5.
His teammate also in the top 10. Ryan Reed is 10th. Right behind rookie Daniel Hemrick. William Byron is up there. Austin Dillon in the mix. Harvick has slid back to 6th now.
He's dropping low on the back, trying to block. And look at this battle for the lead.
Keselowski got up on the tail end of Kyle Busch, but could not make it happen.
William Byron around the outside, trying to take advantage of Austin Dillon down low.
Byron really starting to do some positive things as we go under 15 laps to go. He's 7th right now.
Chase, do you think this track could have tightened up on Kevin with the sun setting? I see turns 1 and 2 is now with some shade down there. Do you think the track changed on him?
It could have. You know, I didn't really see the racetrack change a whole lot yesterday throughout Cup practice and then getting in the truck. To me, it stayed pretty consistent. Now, there's a lot of rubber on the racetrack, a lot more than what we had yesterday. So very well could be. And also the sun going down in 1 and 2. Not only is it shading the racetrack, but also is about to get in these drivers' eyes as it sets.
A 41 car certainly not where they want to be right now, Matt.
Richard Boswell asked Kevin Harvick about the damage to the fender, and Harvick says, I do not believe that I got into him leaving. He said, no, when you were entering your pit box, your left front fender grazed the tire that Aaron Shields, the carrier for Kyle Larson, was holding. So slight cosmetic damage, and guys, you know, a little bit here can be an awful lot arrow-wise.
Yeah, and you look at the 42 of Kyle Larson, fell back on the restart when he triggered it from that outside lane, but starting to work his way back toward the front, picks up 3rd from Elliott Sadler as he went by him on the inside.
Look at the back of that car. Matt talked about aerodynamics, but Kyle Larson's got the Jacob Company's Chevy all wrinkled in, and he's going to town. He could run down these leaders over the next 10 laps.
Now 11 to go. Kyle Busch leading Brad Keselowski by 0.7 of a second. Kyle Larson closing in. He's 1.8 behind.
I'm impressed by Darrell Wallace. You know, getting the wall earlier. I mean, yeah, that was a big lick with the wall here in the tri-oval, and to be able to get that car repaired, stayed on the lead lap by inches, had a great pit stop, a great restart. He's had some things not go his way, but since then, it's looked pretty good.
Cole Custer had that penalty. He finds himself 11th right now. Daniel Hemrick has had a couple of hiccups on the day. He's 9th. Good to see these young guys deal with adversity and find a way through it in what's a short race and doesn't offer many opportunities for a comeback.
Brad Keselowski outran Kyle Busch by about 1/10 of a second last time by. See if he can close in.
You know, Brad Keselowski is hungry. This 22 team didn't win last year. Brad has not won an Xfinity race since November of 2015. That team really wants to make it happen and would certainly welcome getting it done this afternoon at Atlanta. And some problems you see here for last week's winner, Ryan Reed, into the wall.
Got a slide inside, 2 board and a hole. Just got a little loose when he was up top and didn't have any room for error. Look at Bubba. He's coming after.
Not done yet, huh?
No, he's coming after Elliott Sadler. This is a strong car. Harvick's peeking his nose in there.
Great battle for 4th. Sadler's got it. Harvick's there around Darrell Wallace Jr.
I think anything inside the top 10 for Darrell Wallace is going to be a win for those guys today. Hitting the wall like he did, coming back from that. And I know he just got passed by a couple guys, but I think that's still pretty impressive.
All of this action more than 3 seconds behind race leader Kyle Busch, but his advantage over Brad Keselowski down to 0.4 of a second. Brad moving around and doing everything he can to run him down. Next time around, we'll see 6 laps to go.
Look at that line that Brad's running, just ringing the top. He knows that running on the bottom, he's not going to be able to win. You got to try something.
Got to do something different than the guy ahead of you for sure. And even though that top's been hard on tires in 3 and 4, only 6 laps to go. Now's the time, and if anybody can do it, I'd say it's him.
There goes Harvick, beginning his late race surge to the inside of Elliott Sadler. Harvick's up to 4th.
Check out that lap traffic, Adam. This could become a factor. They're 2 and 3 wide up there.
And as a leader, there is nothing worse than to see that ahead of you. You know, those guys are fighting for every spot they can get to. But, man, when they're racing side by side like that and you're catching them as fast as Kyle is, that's never a good sign because, I mean, Brad is just right there. One little hiccup, and he's got to run.
5 remaining. Lap traffic a factor. High side for Kyle Busch. Keselowski looking down low, and you see the stat here. Dating to 2013, Keselowski, Eric Jones, and Kyle Larson each have finished second to Kyle Busch on 4 different occasions. Look out. Maybe a little contact there. Busch pushing him out of the way. And Keselowski getting trapped.
Look at that move. Wow.
And even after all that, they came out about the same as they went in. So they both did a pretty good job.
4 laps remaining at Atlanta. It's been fun to watch, and it's not over yet.
No, it's not. Brad gets the right run. Maybe he could duck down to the bottom here in 3 and 4. He hasn't been making any time up high. He's going to give it a try.
I missed the bottom right there. You know, for Brad to even stay as close as he is right now tells me he's a little bit better than Kyle is. The question is he have A, enough time, and B, can he move around enough to get a good run on him?
3 laps remaining. Go back to a season ago when Kyle Busch won here. His first victory at this place. It was the first ever for Toyota and the first for Joe Gibbs Racing. Roger Penske's never won here in the Xfinity Series. Brad Keselowski hoping to return the favor today and get around Kyle Busch, but time's starting to run out. We'll see 2 laps to go when they come off of turn 4 and back to the start-finish line.
Time's running out, and Brad's got that rear end hanging out. He's doing everything he can, driving that car for all it's worth, trying to pass Kyle Busch.
He's dealt with a lap traffic. Might be the last bullet he's got to dodge as Kyle Busch looks for another win in the Xfinity Series, trying to go 1-0 in 2017.
It hasn't been an easy task for him today, though. This is not the typical dominant performance we usually see by him. So he's done a great job getting his car turned around and 1 to go.
White flag is out. Sponsored by Credit One Bank. About a mile away from his 87th career victory, Kyle Busch out in front of Brad Keselowski.
We talked after practice yesterday, Chase. We didn't see a clear-cut favorite, and you're right. Kyle Busch just worked hard all day long to get himself in a position to do this.
Took Kyle Busch a long time to get his first Atlanta win. It came last year. Now he's going to go back-to-back. Kyle Busch in a familiar place. Victory lane at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Good job, fellas. Good job starting.
Stage 1 today went to Brad Keselowski. Stage 2 to Kevin Harvick. And at the end of the afternoon, celebrating once again, is Kyle Busch.
I think this crew chiefing thing is going to work out for Scott Graves. He seems to have a pretty good hand, doesn't he?
Well, I mean, a couple of years ago, he wins the title with Chris Buescher. Last year, he does it with Daniel Suarez. He moves over kind of to the all-star team where he gets to work with the best of the bunch. And already, he and Kyle Busch creating the magic.
Yeah, until earlier when you guys said that, I didn't realize he had won back-to-back championships. That's pretty cool. I wish I could say he hadn't won that one in 2015.
I'm sorry.
We were behind him in 15. Obviously not close enough, but did a great job with Kyle today. And Kyle sure does know what he's looking for in these cars at any racetrack, and especially here at Atlanta.
I like to look at these results, guys, and think about our Xfinity Championship that we're going to be racing for all year long. We've got Elliott Sadler, the veteran, Bubba Wallace right there in 6th. William Byron, the kid, in 7th. It's going to be a great fight all year long between the rookies and the veterans. Hemrick with the top 10. Cole Custer up in the top 10.
Had 4 rookies finish in the top 12 today. Brandon Jones with a great effort to come back to 14th. And a scene that has become so familiar in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Kyle Busch celebrating, doing the donuts, and grabbing that checkered flag. And we remind you, he's going to try and sweep the day. He's going to run in the Camping World Truck Series. Chase against you, Austin Dillon in that race. A star-studded field when we go green a little bit later on.
I'm excited to get going. It's going to be a fun afternoon for these fans that are here that get to see 2 races in a row, and for those of you watching on Fox Sports 1 as well. So I'm excited to be a part of it. Like I said, you know, I got asked to run Atlanta. I said, why not? Let's do it. And our truck's been pretty good, so I hope we can put a good afternoon together.
Great having you here with us. Congratulations on all the wonderful things that are happening, including your foundation. Good luck later today in the truck, and especially tomorrow in that Cup car. Okay?
I appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me. I hope we can do it again, and you guys have fun up here.
He's going from the tie to the driver's uniform, and we'll see if he can get a checkered flag later this afternoon. So it's all over at Atlanta Motor Speedway for the Xfinity Series. Kyle Busch able to come from behind and get the win.
See you, bud.
Good job. Back at Atlanta Motor Speedway, when Kyle Busch won here a year ago, he dominated, leading 119 laps. Not as dominant today, but out front, when it mattered, he's a winner again. Let's go to Victory Lane and Matt Yoakum.
Six and a half years ago, Kyle Busch won a triple header weekend, but that was over 3 different days. This weekend it's over a span of 30 hours. Great start to your weekend, but was that more of an example of hard work?
Yeah, it was. You know, we weren't great early on. We weren't great through the middle, and Scott Graves and these guys, they worked on this car all day long. So really brought the NOS Energy Drink Toyota to life there at the end, and pretty proud to put ourselves in victory lane here once again, 2 years in a row. It took me so long to get here to begin with. Now we won 2 in a row. So that feels really good, and can't say enough about Toyota TRD, everybody that worked so hard, everyone at Joe Gibbs Racing, all these guys on this team. Of course, XFINITY, their XFINITY Extreme app. That's pretty cool to have. I love watching that thing all over my cell phone. And then, of course, too, Cessna, we appreciate them. And DBX, the race fans, incredible bank. What else can I say? It's we just keep knocking them out of the park here in the Xfinity Series, but we love it, and we wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
Great start working with Scott Graves.
It was, thanks. It's you know, it certainly means a lot to get him to victory lane, to get these group of guys to victory lane. You know, they just won a championship. They're fresh off of that, so certainly they want to get back to victory lane any chance they can get, and we got 10 chances here this year with me, so looking forward to that opportunity. If anybody wants to put a bounty out there, and I'll go race for it. I'm 1 for 1 right now. Maybe I can get an extra $1 million if I win all 10. I don't know.
1 down, 2 more to go this weekend.
Kyle Busch dominated on the 1.5 miles last year, picking up right where he left off. And he's got 2 more chances to win this weekend, as he's going to race in the Truck Series race coming up later today, and then the Cup on Sunday. Now over to John Roberts. We're going to get you ready for the truck race.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoy today's broadcast.